Well, the 11 a.m. advisory is in on Debby, and just like forecasted, it has weakened back into a tropical storm. So it's situated in the northern portion of Florida, the southern tip of Georgia, right there along the Georgia-Florida state line, and its winds are down sustained to 70 miles an hour and a slight uptick in pressure of about 4 millibars up to 983 millibars. So the higher that pressure goes, that is a good indication of weakening. Debby is continuing its north-northeasterly path at 8 miles an hour, so definitely substantially slower than this time yesterday as it trekked across the eastern Gulf of Mexico, and it still remains the same in terms of the cone. It is shifting a little bit over towards the east, but still going to make very slow progress through southeastern Georgia over the next day or so. And once we get into the midweek, there still remains some question marks about its certain path, but the consensus is going to continue up the Atlantic coast of the United States. Now, Debby did make landfall as a Category 1 hurricane around 7 a.m. near Steinhatchee, Florida. So the sustained winds were about 80 miles an hour at that point about 4 hours ago or so, and now they have gone down to 70 miles an hour, so continuing the weakening trend as it does move over land. But also worth noting that this is the second landfall that the Big Bend area of Florida has had in less than a year, as Hurricane Idalia, a little less than a year ago, made landfall some 15 or 20 miles away from where Hurricane Debby just made landfall. So in turn, this has constituted a weather impact alert day here in central Georgia for today and tomorrow in light of now tropical storm Debby. It is going to mainly be a flooding event, but also strong, damaging, and gusty winds are going to be present all the way up to about the 40 to 50 mile an hour range. But this threat is mainly going to be to our south and east here in central Georgia. And you can see this reflected in our flood watch. We have a line from about Hancock County up in Sparta all the way down to Cordele in Chris County, and all areas further down to the southeast. But the greatest flood risk is going to be in these very, very southeastern counties just to the south of I-16. So the further that you go down I-16, we're looking at locally heavier rainfall amounts all the way up to maybe the 10-inch range or possibly even higher. So the area is going to be most susceptible to flooding are those low-lying areas near bodies of water. So if you live near a creek, a stream, a pond, any body of water, you are going to be more susceptible to flash flooding. And also, as I mentioned, those totals are going to be much heavier as you continue to trek towards the coast here in central Georgia. I want to note our tropical storm watches and warnings. So counties outlined in the yellow are in a tropical storm watch, and we've since seen some areas upgraded like Lawrence County and over into Truitland County. They have been upgraded to a tropical storm warning, but counties like Johnson County, Bleckley County, Pulaski, Dooley, and Chris still remain in a tropical storm watch. So there definitely is just a little more confidence that areas in the red in that tropical storm warning, including Wilcox, Telfair, Wheeler, Montgomery, Truitland, Lawrence, and Dodge County are going to see tropical storm force conditions. That's winds anywhere from 39 all the way up to 74 miles an hour. But I do believe here in central Georgia, we're definitely going to be on the lower end of that range, as I'm only forecasting winds up to about 40, 50 miles an hour, and those are gusts, not the sustained winds. So taking a look at future view, how does this play out? Well, the rain is getting going right now, and it's virtually not going to stop for about 24 to 28 hours here in central Georgia. So it's really just going to hang along this southeastern corridor, those counties like Telfair, Wheeler, Montgomery, even stretching a little bit further up to the northwest than our last model run did have. And this will continue all the way into Tuesday evening before we start to see Hurricane Debby, or Tropical Storm Debby now, continue to push off the eastern coast of the southeast United States. Once we get to Wednesday, it does look to be a fairly clear day, but this is very liable to change according to the path that Debby does take once we get into the midweek. And you'll still see some pretty good uncertainty according to our GFS and Euro long-range models. They kind of split on off. So the Euro in the blue hinting at a further northeasterly track, but the GFS causing a re-entry here over central Georgia. And if that circulation, or that center of circulation in the eye, is to move further over into the left part of central Georgia, that would put us on the dirty side and make more severe weather implications here in central Georgia. But as it stands right now, it does look like both models are in agreement, whether it goes up to the northeast or if it does hang around here. A frontal boundary will try to push this on out as we go into the course of the weekend, hopefully finally creating some good sunny conditions for the first week back to school for many and any outdoor plans that you may have. Taking a look at the spaghetti models, you can see both those long-range models I just showed you resembled right here. This kind of red line right here, this is going to be the Euro ensemble, and very, very slowly making its way over just off the Atlantic coast of South Carolina, but then continuing to go back over land in the Carolinas and eventually back out to the Atlantic Ocean around the Virginia Beach area. And taking a look at the GFS model, you're seeing it go out back to sea just off the Georgia coast, but then punch back here close to here in central Georgia and then take that northeasterly turn once that front does begin to push through on Friday and kind of steer it back out to sea. So that's going to be the worst case scenario here in central Georgia. But right now, as I mentioned, the greatest confidence is that it's going to continue further up to the northeast, something we're going to continue to monitor over the next couple of days. So once again, weather impact alert days for today and Tuesday. The main impact going to be that flooding risk and also the gusty wind. So definitely not going to make it a good day to be out on the road. What you're going to need is an umbrella whenever venturing outside, of course, and a cell phone in order to stay updated with us here at 13 WMAZ and the National Hurricane Center as they issue watches and warnings for specific counties. So if you're planning on traveling on I-16 throughout the next 2 days, definitely want to be very cautious on the roads or avoid them entirely if you can, as it is going to be a rainy and gusty day to be out on those roads.